is actually quite high. My answer to this question is, do you like it? And how long can you hold your breath? At 34, I made $67,000 for the year.
Yeah.
At 35, I made $240. People that are good, that are awesome, that come from the heart are going to win. Everybody has become remarkable at pointing fingers. It has become a global pandemic. When somebody's upset today, where is I suck?
I don't feel sorry for you people because you deserve it, because it's a decision you made.
My belief is that 99% of people are uncomfortably trickable.
What do you mean?
I think most people are so insecure, so short-term, that if you just feed them what they need, that you can basically manipulate them into anything you want to do.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I hate that shit. I think
That's tough. You can basically, people are so weak that you can basically manipulate most people into doing whatever the hell you want them to do. That's tough.
that you can basically manipulate them into anything you want to do.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I hate that shit. I think what people need to do is find their selfish place.
First of all, how do you have so much energy? Is it pure adrenaline or is it caffeine? Do you get like 12 hours of sleep every night? You must not because you work so much.
You know, it's funny. So to answer your question, I think it's a combination of two things. I think it's natural adrenaline, energy. Like I think there's a DNA part going on for sure. Hyper, schmiper. But I do believe that I have extra energy on top of that because of my emotional and mental perspective. I think I'm incredibly driven by gratitude. It is not lost on me that a day that I wake up where no one that I care about has died or became terminally ill is a good day. I'm very half glass full. I really thrive on optimism and gratitude. So I'm in a good mood. And when you're in a good mood, you get more done. Like if you're dwelling,
That's a fact.
you're not as productive. You're not as excited. If you're not happy, like when I'm concerned or challenged, my energy is not as high.
So you
I'm
think,
not as light.
So you think if more people practice that, they would have more energy throughout the day to get more done?
100%. And not even like from a business, you know, I love my business life, but I'm just talking about like life.
I totally agree with that. The better you feel, the more comfortable you are, the more confidence you have, the more productive you're going to be. No doubt.
More done as in like, and just like, it's better.
How do you consciously and actively practice gratitude? Is it like a journal or is it every morning you
It's
go
a conversation with myself. Pretty consistent. I think I'm so deep on this. Like I don't need a journal. I don't need an app. I don't need a guru. I don't need a podcast to listen to get me there. I think I've been on it for so long. In fact, it's a little weird. You catch me at a good time. I've become very introspective. I'm going to go pretty deep with you on this one. Both my parents lost a parent very, very early on. My mom lost her mom at 5. My dad lost his dad at 15. Recently, I've realized how big of a currency and a backdrop that was to my own childhood. I was pretty petrified to lose one of my parents. Like, for...
By the way, this is a finance channel. I am teaching all things personal finance. As I learn, I'm sharing. The iced coffee hour with Graham Steppen, an old dude. You know, the title of it, this will make you insanely rich. The next 365 days will make millionaires from nothing. Gary Vee. Gary Vee is a legend in this space, man. Motivation, inspiration, finances, money, all that shit. He's a legend. So this is in accordance with the channel of finances. That's why I am looking at it with everybody.
For real. Like you guys are young enough that like you probably can remember your childhood pretty solidly. Like I do not believe you or Mike, who's my dude here in the background. I don't think the three of you or the millions that are listening over the next decade, I don't think most people thought about their parents dying suddenly multiple times a week in their youth. I did. So I think kind of my curse of that became my gift. By the time I got to 18, I was so grateful that it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. It's almost like I've been playing with house money since. This has been a really new revelation for me that I've been thinking through. So I think as I got older, and even as a kid, I just knew that I had talent. As a kid, I knew I was talented. I knew I could make people like me. I knew people naturally liked me, so I didn't have to try to make them like me, even if I did. Mm-hmm. I knew that I cared about people. I knew I was good at stuff like hand-eye coordination. I always focused on positives. Like I was good at hand-eye coordination, but I wasn't big and strong. But I was like, I'm great at hand-eye coordination. Not crying about not being big and strong, but being like, I have better hand-eye coordination. Like I always focused on the positive. It was ingrained in me. I was parented that way. I think my mom has a huge impact on who I am. I give her pretty much all the flowers. That's why it's easy for me to talk about myself. I don't think on the record. Every time you're like Gary Vee, you're the best. I'm like Tamara and Sasha are the best. They're the best. They made me. I'm the product. V friends, when I build it, I'll take those accolades. I built it. You know, but me, so. Yeah, I think it's so deep, bro. I think like whatever the monks and the Buddhists and like the deepest on anything, you know, like athletes, like how do you move like that? They've been doing it I've been grateful my whole life.
It's interesting that it's the gratitude. One thing that's really admirable about you is your ability to be so productive and work so hard. I'm curious.
I love that. I love that shit right there because I am very, very big in gratitude. The more grateful you are, I feel like the more grateful you are and appreciative for what you have and what you have the ability to do, I think the more you're actually gonna get, and the more you're gonna give away. I think it's big, even in recovery, man. Grateful. What the hell? Gratefulness is huge. Being grateful. We used to have we used to do gratitude battles where we would stand up and then like, one person would start what you're grateful for, the other one would tell them what you're grateful for, the other one would tell you whoever slipped up first or said the same thing, they lost. It was cool, man. But it was just an exercise to practice and say out loud in front of the whole like auditorium or big ass classroom what you're grateful for, and it made you feel better.
For those that want to be successful, what's something that they should be willing to sacrifice that they don't?
Sacrifice. The cliche answers, people think the answers go into like time with your friends and family. It's real. But that's not kind of like what naturally I felt when you said that. I think, I'm going to say something interesting. I think if you're in your perfect pocket, you're not sacrificing. I actually think you're being selfish. I think what people need to do is find their selfish place.
What about for people, though, who want a balance in addition to, let's say, financial success?
It depends on what financial success is and what balance is. This is like why these are important combos. Like, real talk.
Yeah.
What's financial success? Do you right this minute, what do you personally believe financial success is to the average man and woman? How much do they make in a year?
I would say for the average person, probably got to be about 250 grand a year, and that would be enough to.
What do you think yours is for you right now at this point in your life? At this point,
Gosh, I think it's an everlasting treadmill. I don't
of course
think,
it is. That's why I notice I'm asking you the question.
Right.
For you personally, right this minute, what is financial success in a year?
A dollar amount?
Yes, right now. At this point in your like right this
Graham
second.
doesn't want to say this because
That's
he'll feel
okay.
like he'll get screwed. if this
By the
thing
way,
goes
before that's fair, and I want everybody to hear this. Whatever you say, it's not too big or too small. This is where we need to give grace to each other, all of us. It's just your subjective feelings at this moment.
Sure.
There's nothing. If he says 14 million, what's going to happen in the comments? Like he's a piece of because like the average American.
Detached
That's
from
not,
reality,
That's
yeah.
not fair to him. That's where he's at right now. By the way, let me give you all the preview. He will go up and down, even though he has the capacity to make more. Things change. I'm just asking you in this moment.
Eventually, that'd be awesome. 10 million?
Great. So to me, here's the question.
Yeah.
Next, what do you think the work-life balance is on for you? Balance on 10 million a year?
It would probably be a constant 24-hour a day, 7-day a week thought struggle for me to just focus on one thing and do that nonstop.
Do you want to do that?
No.
Okay, that's it. Like just when you start breaking down these questions, like when you say 10, to me the next question is like, why not 15?
It just seems like an even round number.
I appreciate it. I think that's right. The other question becomes like, what is balance? Like, you're married?
Yes.
Are you?
No.
Right. Let's just go there. That's perfect. That worked out super well for me. Shit's different. You remember not being married?
Yeah.
Easier to put more into work?
Sure.
Real.
Yeah.
Then child, then parent sick, then parent not sick, then burnt out after a while of something and just like, it's not as fun as it was for 6 years. Like, when I did Wine Library TV every day for 5 days a week, I loved it all the way until I didn't like it at all. You guys like this right now?
I love it.
I'll tell you, there's going to be a day where you don't. For real. That's okay.
Sure.
That's just human. So, to answer your question, brother, like, how does one balance it? By being the judge and jury of themselves. Like, whose standard of work-life balance am I supposed to achieve to? Or you? Or you? Whose definition of financial success am I supposed to? What is it? Is it your 250K for the average, or is it the American average of 60, 70, 80K? 250K makes a lot of sense in San Francisco, New York, and LA. 250K in rural, middle of nowhere, Tennessee, you're a trillionaire.
What does your current work-life balance look like?
My normal Monday through Friday is 8:30 to 10 p.m. That's my normal. Now, there's times when my son has basketball practice, and 7:30 I'll go into that world, or Knicks are in the playoffs right now, I'll go to the Knicks game. But my normal right now is probably 9 to 9, somewhere in the range of 12 hours a day.
And when was the last time you felt burnt out? How did you overcome that?
I define subjectively burnt out as sustained unhappiness doing the thing. And my definition of sustained is probably 100 days in a row. I've not had that. Here are my change. In my late 20s or early 30s, I had spent working 150 hours a week, building a huge business for my father, and was getting paid nothing. In my late, from 22 to 28, 6 years straight, 365 days a year. In my late 20s, I started to feel anxiety that I was in a bad spot because I had no money. And I was built a huge business and I had nothing to show for it. I was just getting married at the time, and I was like, oh my God, I'm poor. I was making $50,000 a year. So, and not that 50,000 is poor, but 50,000 when you actually work 150 hours a week is real bad. It's different if you're working 40 hours, at least you're getting the bowling team and the weekends and your kids.
I did that when I was I was in retail management my entire life, and I remember I had it was a pretty nice check because this was shoot, now it's over 10 years ago, and I was like the youngest store manager at Dollar Tree, and I made over 50,000 with bonuses, but I was working so many hours. If you would have calculated it by an hour, I made nothing. I was making peanuts because assistant managers would call out, stalkers would call out, my cashiers would call out. I'd be at the movie theater with a lady or whoever, and have to get called in because somebody's throwing rocks through the front door, breaking in, stealing a bags of chips, being robbed, all kinds of stuff. Alarm would go off in the middle of the night. I had to go open up the store, do the police reports. I will never, ever, ever be in that kind of role again. Making a lot of money, but on a salary position, no overtime. No matter how many hours I worked, I get paid the same amount every week or every 2 weeks. And it was just miserable. I was miserable. I had a prison mate job. I hated going to work every day. I hated life.
Your
Right?
wage, your
Yeah,
hourly
exactly.
income.
So
Right.
I was in a real tough spot. That went from like 28 to like 32. A really interesting time for me and my dad. We had a lot of friction. I was reconciling my feelings. He was reconciling his. And it finally hit an inflection point where I was like, I got to leave this business and start my own thing. And my brother was graduating college. I started this VaynerMedia. So I would say the last time I really felt burnt out macro was the last years of Wine Library because I felt like the trade wasn't fair. And I don't blame my dad, actually. It's immigrant business. He's like, you're going to inherit it. It's going to be yours. So it was like all those immigrant, you know. The other time I felt burnt out was with Wine Library TV. The last 50 episodes, I was like, I'm done with this. I've done this. It's 5 days a week, 5 years. I'm done.
What was it?
Daily V.
What did you get
It was
burned
like all
out
those
on?
immigrant, you know. The other time I felt burnt out was with Wine Library TV. The last 50 episodes, I was like, I'm done with this. I've done this. It's 5 days a week, 5 years. I'm done. Daily V put me on the map in a lot of ways for a lot of people.
That's what I remember.
You know, even now when the guys want to film me, I'm like so used to not being filmed. It feels weird. Whereas for the first year after Daily V, it felt weird to not be filmed. There's that. So projects
doubt.
feel like burnt out, but I don't feel burnt out. I don't feel like soulless or
It
sad.
sounds like though you feel burnt out when you've accomplished everything that you've set out for.
Yeah, and,
Maybe
and I'll
reaching
be honest with
maximum
you, I
velocity.
really don't view it as burnt out.
Sure.
I view it as like ready to move on.
Okay.
I think words have gotten weird. Like I think a lot of people weaponize the word anxiety when they're inconvenienced. I think we've created words like imposter syndrome to make the word insecure.
Or ick. People use the word ick.
Yeah.
So I really genuinely do not associate with burnout. I think there's been moments where I was done,
Sure.
to your point.
Okay.
And but I don't like burnout to me seems like I define burnout as emotionally struggling.
Yeah.
I like how you break down what a word actually means. It reminds me of like Jordan Peterson, or it reminds me of like Alex Hormozy. If you
Very
know who
much.
that is,
Yeah.
had him on the podcast recently. He said that he doesn't like to use words like burnout because he prefers to use words in observable reality.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. You broke down burnout to be like, I consider it as sustained,
Yeah.
displeasure with
Yeah.
something for 100 days.
I think that's interesting insight. I think words have been weaponized. Words have been
It's too ambiguous. It's subjective. But
It
if you
really
break
is.
it down into something that's
Yeah.
observable,
Yeah.
then it
Yeah.
actually is relatable.
Speaking of words, a popular one lately is quiet quitting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is a way for people to support a healthy boundary? Or is it
Yeah,
something that
I
people
think-
use as an excuse for just
both.
not working hard?
Yeah, both. Or just like cheating the system. Like people will cheat the system if they can, if they don't respect or like the system. Like I don't worry about people Vayner that way because I think we like them too much and do the right things. And I know people do, but it's not a sustained issue for us. But I think another company that doesn't give a about their employees have it at scale because what you put in is what you get out.
So do you think it's a problem with the employer in those
Yes,
situations,
I
not
do.
the employee?
I do. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
We have 2,000 plus employees here at VaynerX. There are definitely dozens and dozens that are doing all sorts of that I would not be happy about because we no longer work in a 5-day, like you can, like, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not crippled by it because it's inconceivable that it's at scale because we're too productive as an organization and I just know what we do for our employees, which is we're not Mother Teresa, but we have humanity. I think if corporations had more humanity, they would win
What's a way that you would recommend they incentivize their employees to work harder?
by reverse engineering them individually. Some employees want more money.
By reverse engineering them.
Their employees to work harder.
By reverse engineering them individually. Some employees want more money.
Sure.
Some people want a new title. Some people want more work-life balance. Some people want to work in a different department. We're in constant I, and I don't like saying I, but I'm going to say it because I dictate this from the top, I, more than even my direct reports and their direct reports. And now, as I keep putting more pressure on this, we do a pretty darn good job of being open for business for the other person because the more we make it awesome, the more they'll stay. The more retention I have, the faster I think we can go. I think business is like sports. I think speed matters.
And how do you do that at scale with so many employees?
Effort. Like, it's just something I give a shit about.
And for people,
like,
yeah.
it's like you'll find this so interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interest. The reason I'm
Please,
double clicking is I want to bring value to the audience, and
Cool.
I felt I left it kind of high. But I'll tell you why I left it high and why I'm going to go low now.
Go on.
If you care about something, you will do it. The end. Like the actual answer to your question is effort.
Sure.
Underneath that, allocating time in my schedule.
I love that, man. So simple yet so profound. If you care about something, you're going to do it. I would totally agree with that, man. I've got a certain master plan in my mind where I'm saving up so I can get into real estate investing. And I've got certain goals and I've got to make sure my credit's right, which it is right. And I've got a good enough credit score now where I could get a loan or go inquire about lending at least and get my foot in the door. What I don't have is enough down payment yet, so I've been saving every single penny that I could possibly save, not splurging, not doing anything at all. I mean, I did buy like my mom some flowers today for Mother's Day, but that's a little bit different. I didn't like. I spent over $30 on a card and flowers, and I was like, damn, that's taking that away from because I'm so selfish right now. I'm so greedy, like because I've got a certain goal in mind that I want to achieve, man. And because you got to put in effort and you got to really, really, really stay focused, or I'll never get where I want to be. Next year, I want to buy a quad or a fourplex.
For one-on-ones, using the people that have been here for a decade and deploying them on places I can't get to that I know needs humans. You know what I mean? Like, it takes up my mind time. This may actually, this is really cool. You'll find this interesting because of what you guys do, and I have a sense of how you're paying attention. Both of you know, I've been less Gary V'd out the last 12 to 18 months in the personal brand game. There's other people that have, I've been operating. This is actually me now deciding I'm going back into effort of Gary V. So I guarantee people will feel me around more and know more of me and feel like Gary V's everywhere more in 26 than in 24 and 25, because in 24 and 25 I operated VaynerX and VFriends. Effort.
Yeah. What do you think about potential overexposure? Does that ever bother you in terms?
It's not achievable.
You don't think it's possible?
Who's overexposed?
I think it depends. I think if you have a story and you go on 30 podcasts, generally speaking, each performance of each unique podcast will start to dwindle because the story gets redundant. People have heard it enough times.
You're looking at it from the wrong angle. You're in the game of knowing what's going on right now. To you, it'll become redundant.
Right, but to the guest on the show, it's still new eyeballs.
The overlaps are there. And by the way, here's how it's going to play out. Okay, by the way, back to me. I'm going to be out and about. Okay, Gary V's showing up on all the same. Let me hear. I haven't heard, but ironically, some people are like, I haven't heard. He's probably talking about the same. But let me say, oh, some new. Then they go and listen a week later, I'm on something else. They're like, let me listen again. Pretty similar to what he just did with coffee. And then the third time I show up in the results of the new podcast, they're like, I'm not going to listen. I'm not getting overexposed. They've gotten their fulfillment. But every one of these shows has different audiences. Not to mention, and this will resonate for you guys because you had a journey of consuming my content. We also like the greatest hits from our favorite artists. Like Elton John and the Rolling Stones and Billy Joel are still playing the same.
But there is something to be said about people or bands or brands who only make an appearance every now and then, and it's such a big special occasion, like My Chemical Romance, taking 20 years off and then coming back once, and that's like a big hit event.
Why are we so addicted to or? What about and? You're right.
Yeah.
And people don't get overexposed and have consistent awareness and build brand. Listen, I've been one of the most prolific public figures in social media, which is the medium of dominance today. An ungodly amount of people know me. I'm stunned every time I'm outside. A much bigger group does not.
It's interesting from our perspective because I've started posting less, but the less I post now, the more views each video gets.
Of course, because it's sitting there longer.
Correct, but it's also a bit more special when it's like once a week or once every other week there's a video.
You're choosing ideology.
I actually disagree with that. I think
your net awareness is down.
You've increased your barrier to post a video. Like, it needs to be a more pressing event. It needs to be a bigger deal. And so for that, it probably raises the average.
But by the way, you're allowed. And by the way, you may want less people to know, but be impacted deeper. But people are like, Gary, get more views. I'm like, no. But what about your gross views for the month?
Sure.
So, by the way, everyone's allowed. You're allowed to be Marlon Brando, and you're allowed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, or whoever's. That was the '80s of being in every movie, right? You're Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be Kevin Hart, and you're allowed to be a once in a blue moon. They both work. My answer is but I want everyone to hear this. Right now they're like, oh yeah, I'm more that. I'm more like you, not like Gary. But what about you're allowed to be both version?
What do you mean by and? Like you're allowed to do either or?
Yeah. You're allowed to be Kevin Hart, and you're allowed to be a once in a blue moon. They both work. My answer is but I want everyone to hear this. Right now they're like, oh yeah, I'm more that. I'm more like you, not like Gary. But what about you're allowed to be both versions? By the way, I'm just living through me being less content out there, even though my less is quite a bit. By the way, I may wake up in a year and get into the concept of one post a month and do that for a year, and then be like, that was awesome, and be like, that I'm back to volume and scale. The restrictions we put on ourselves is fascinating to me. So for me, when I hear that, I'm like, that's awesome. Enjoy this chapter. And you'll make decisions if this works for you or doesn't. And you're also allowed to change your strategy.
Now, for people who are on that entrepreneurial journey, how do you know or how do you dictate when to push through something versus when to quit and try something different? Now, one of the things that Gary Vaynerchuk really reinforced in this thing you have to do to start a business. Sponsor of Grimble. There's no confusion.
No.
Is even high. How long can you?
If you are somebody that has to sit through commercials, you'll never have to do that with me. Because I have YouTube Premium, and I could just fast forward right through all that shit.
My answer to this question is, do you like it?
Sure.
And how long can you hold your breath? Those are my two questions to you. If we were three brothers.
And and as you can tell, this is kind of fast. This is 1.5 speed. Don't click off. You've been hearing it fine. You've heard every word. You are digesting it just fine. We can listen to this in a whole lot faster amount of time in 1.5 speed and no commercials. It's pretty awesome. Everybody should try it, man. I listen to all my videos in either 1.5, and sometimes if the person talks slow, real slow, kind of like I do, I'll do that shit in 2 speed.
And we're just jamming on this for real, not a podcast. I'd be like, do you like it?
Gary Vee does talk really, really fast, but you can still hear every single word he's saying with no problems. I mean, it's easy, just like rap or hip hop. You hear every word. It's not a big deal. It's a lot slower than most hip hop and rap.
How long can you hold your breath?
Sure.
That's it. That's the answer to that question.
It's interesting. So for this podcast, obviously, for any guest we have on the show, we do copious amounts of research. And so I feel like I've listened to you for I don't even know how many tens of hours in the past, couple of weeks.
Easily.
But I'm curious because you seem different now than in the previous things I've seen you on. Like you
He
seem
does,
way
man.
more introspective, way more like subjective,
He
like
does.
you're meta.
He
Like
does.
You know why?
why?
Because your guys' energy is that. I'm chameleon.
Oh,
I feel like you've been on some pretty relaxed podcasts, though. Like you did one recently with a veteran that I saw that I felt was pretty laid back.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would say that what I'm feeling right now while I'm doing this is I really respect your audience and I'm pushing myself to bring as much value as I can, which is what I do in every setting. Intuitively in a relaxed podcast, sometimes I think energy is the highest value. I'm going on my intuition on what I think could bring the most value. And I also, to your point, I think life is like day to day as well. Like I'm also fresh. I don't know what podcasts you're talking about and like when they came out, when they were filmed, but because I haven't been put on so many podcasts so often for so long lately, I do feel a little fresh. And when I'm fresh, it takes me down new paths too.
That's interesting. I think when it comes to social media too, I think people really value authenticity.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now authenticity is almost becoming like a strategy where people are really like overemphasizing
Yeah, but
authenticity?
I have good news. Like you can go back to interviews I did in 2007 on YouTube, and that was the buzzword of 2007 social.
Yeah.
I think authenticity's always worked. I think people try to force it all the time, which is the complete opposite of it. And I think the way to really judge authenticity is longevity. I think the people that try to fake authenticity do not have very long plays.
How much is there
No
out there
doubt.
that you choose publicly not to talk about? Because you're pretty open about quite a few things. And how do you dictate what you are public about versus what you're not?
My private life is something I don't talk about. I always thought that I was too important because I kind of had a sense early on that it was gonna work. I just knew. When you know?
Yeah.
I just knew. So I was like, let me be thoughtful about this. Like if I get actually, this is like 2006. I'm like, if I get actually famous, like what is the worry about that? It's like, oh, privacy is valuable. Plus actually, you know what? That might not even be fully authentic. I am inherently private. Which is wild, right? But I mean, I think talking about your passions or ideas or business, that feels like public domain. But like my children or my relationships, or I don't know,
Yeah.
So I talk about my parents a lot because it's a framework to stuff, but it's not like I'm telling you like what's going on in their lives or like I'm not in reality TV mode. So that was conscious. Things like politics or religion or things that are a little spicier, I don't talk about them because I don't love to contribute from a place of opinion. I like to come from a place of observation. So if I talk about politics, my observation is that the opposite sides of every issue weaponize fear to get people into a frenzy, and that's it. That's my observation. It's like uncomfortably boring.
Do you recommend other influencers keep certain parts of their lives private as well?
I think people have to reverse engineer their truth. Like I don't have real hunger for fame. If someone has intrinsic deep value and hunger for fame, giving the world your personal life is one of the clear paths. I don't really want to deploy my judgment on someone else's journey.
Sure.
So no, I recommend people being self-aware.
What are some of the...
I recommend people being self-aware. And I just said this earlier, and I saw you picking up on this. I also recommend people having the ability to change their mind. Like right now, if you're listening right now, be like, yeah, man, I am whoring out my children too much. And I'm starting to see the negatives of that. Like my 4-year-old daughter was like stopped in the park by somebody the other day because I'm doing that. Well, you're allowed to change. People struggle with change. Like that, like this, a lot of the genre of this convo right now, I want people to have the strength to change their mind.
Hey, there's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? It's about three mice. Who Moved My Cheese? It's all about change. You could read it in an hour, maybe 2. It's so short, it's so little, but it will change your pun intended. Change. It will change your whole mind frame on change. It'll help you accept change. It's a bestseller. It's a remarkable book. Who Moved My Cheese? Buy it on Amazon, Audible, whatever. Just get it, read it. You will love it. It's great. It's a great, great, great read. It will really change your life.
Because that really is liberating to allow you to do a lot of
What do you think holds people back from change? Is it fear?
course of judgment from other human beings. Insecurity is the poison that navigates our world.
What are
That's
you
a
insecure
fact.
about?
In my youth, I was insecure about girls rejecting me. Like,
Did you get rejected or something?
No, because back to not doing. Like, I didn't ask out a lot of girls in high school and college that I wanted to because I was fearful of the rejection. In a world where like I was like pretty charismatic and had my game together in a way, like you know, as you get older, especially because I became a public figure, the amount of like when I first started happening, the amount of girls that reached out to me like, why didn't you ask me out? And like I could be grounded in the fact that I don't think they were saying that now because this was even happening. Like not the Gary Vee you know now. Like even when the wine thing happened, which meant nothing to nobody, it was just like reconnecting. Like so that was a part of my life that I that was very clear in fear. I feared most basic adolescence things. I feared to ride a bike. I didn't want to skin my knee. I feared swimming. I didn't want to drown. I feared those two things very heavily. But by compared, like I was a late bloomer in a lot of ways that way.
But what are you insecure about now?
Not much. What am I insecure about now? Deep, and this will probably go into territory of things I don't want to share, but like, let me say it this way. I'll say it in a way that I feel comfortable because I want to answer it and not answer it. The number one thing I probably fear now is I want to be as good of a father as I possibly can.
Facts.
And so that's very...
Ooh, I love it. I love it. My daughter is the most important thing to me. Look, she painted this. We went to Hobby Lobby and got all kind of paint stuff. My light's too bright. She painted this. It's good, man. That's really, really cool. Says, the curious son, for dad from daughter. I love my daughter to death. She means the world to me. She is one of the only ones in my whole family that knows my ambitions on what I want to do with the buy and hold real estate thing. But yeah, anyway, I don't know, man. I'm not insecure about it. I feel like I'm actually pretty secure about it. But it also is one of the things that scares me the most because I did make a lot of mistakes over the last several years. Like I done good most of my life, and then I had a few years like during COVID where things I made some bad choices and I lost my freedom and I paid the consequences, and me and my daughter's relationship suffered as a result of it. But now we got our strong bond back together, and we're really, really close, and I'm really, really close to having her full time. I believe that I'll be able to have her full time and have full custody. She's only going to be 14 this year, so I think I'll be able to have her for her last 4 years of being, a legal minor. I think that'll be really, really beneficial for me and her relationship, and I think it'll strengthen. And it's going to be challenging, of course, raising I have her like on the weekends, holidays, stuff like that, but having her every single day during her most probably important years of life, it's going to be, it's scary, man. I'm not insecure about it, but I just want to make sure I'm the best father that I can possibly be. I can just definitely relate to what Gary Vee's saying right now. Because that's if you really love your children, that's one thing that you really, really think about a lot is, am I the best father I can possibly be? And what even does that mean? You know what I mean?
Very top of my list, like, am I achieving that? And I'm scared about things that I haven't been able to get to the place where I want to do.
What do you think could hold you back from that?
The thing that I've always struggled with historically, it's a wild one. My greatest weakness, my kryptonite, in a world where I was luck of the draw, gifted with a ton of circumstances and a lot of other things, and then put in a lot of work and feel very comfortable in that, was I'm not candorous with people I love. Like my lack of candor, it blows people away. Like
that doesn't make sense.
I'll explain. I don't give a what you two think of me. I do not care what anyone who's listening cares. I care very deeply. I care more about what Mike thinks about me than you guys and anybody listening. And he's a young employee in my life. And I care more about what Kaylin, who's worked here for 13 years, feels than Mike. But you start getting into my children and my parents, the more I love you, the more I care about how you feel. And I
love that, man. Man, I love that. That is so good to me. I'm the same way, man. I don't care a lot about a whole lot of people. I've said this shit to so many people, but the people I do care about, on one hand, I care hard. I care very, very, my bubble per se, I care a lot. I care so much.
Was raised by a mother who was not candorous, who had such gift of gab and charisma and personality too, that she could just get to the result without making conflict. Got it? I also was raised by a father who was ridiculous with conflict and looked for conflict at every point. So I had two very opposite parents. And I was formed in a way where I viewed candor as creating fear for someone, because I've always had leverage. For most of my life, I've been the financial and emotional leader of my life, meaning me and everybody around me. So when you have leverage and you're deploying candor, there's a lot that comes with that. When you're telling an employee that, bro, you're not good at your job. My brain goes into, Mike walks out of here and starts to go to LinkedIn, starts to cry, starts to go do drugs, and I'm going to lose my job. I just created fear. I had to have a very tough chapter in my life about 5 to 7 years ago when I realized this was my kryptonite. And what I was actually doing was creating fear because people would have to get fired when you're running a company. I would have to break up with girls if I didn't like them anymore. And what people started to understand was they didn't know where they stood with me. And that became the ultimate fear. Very humbling moment in my mid-40s.
And how did you navigate that? And how do you break into just being open and honest with people without creating fear?
All of our vulnerabilities are things we can't see. I'm really fortunate with self-awareness and paying attention, but I couldn't see the candor thing. Once it became obvious to me, both with my employees and some of my personal relationships, I was like, oh, and I'm talking like looking myself in the mirror, brushing my teeth, and looking at my eyes and being like, dude, my inner dialogue is really cool. Like me are good, you know? I really just went there. I was like, dude, you suck at this, man. Like, and this is gonna ruin your life.
Was there a specific moment?
I like that. I like that as well. I feel like my inner dialogue with me, like I do that all the time. From like self, and I'll communicate with myself. Not crazy, not no like schizophrenic or multi-personality, nothing like that. Like I talk to myself in a very constructive, beneficial manner. I got a very, very good inner dialogue. I think it's very healthy. I'm not bragging. I'm not like vain. I'm not. None of that's true. Like I've got so much stuff to work on. I'm far from like reaching my greatest potential, but I do have a very, very good mindset right now. Like I'm in a good space spiritually is all I mean. Like I never want to come across like I'm very, very cocky or anything. Trust me, it took a lot of work and a lot of effort to get where I am right now. And I know like I got this fire in me to really, really achieve great things. And I know it. Like I don't just see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I can already see the whole parade. Like I can see the whole thing. You know how like you got a Christmas parade, Santa is at the end of it, and you're excited, and you know Santa's coming. I can already see Santa. I already know what's going on. I know how this thing is going to end. I see it. I vision it. I have a vision, and I can envision it.
That was like
it was a combination, not to go in too far, but it was a combination of things going on at work, which I'm comfortable with, which was, I let my employees super heavy.
Yeah.
There was just enough employees, and I knew why they were mad at me. They were running around the world being like, all I care about is anyone who knows me to think I'm we're saying Gary Vee were people that were consistently underperforming, but I didn't have the ability to over-communicate it and then would pull the rug from underneath them. It was black and white.
Yeah.
On my subjective opinion, maybe they were performing and I was wrong, but that's the judge and the jury when you own a business, right?
Yeah.
I was like, that sucks, I gotta fix that. And then things in my personal life, which I'm less comfortable sharing, but ultimately I was like, look, I've got to fix this. And it's hard, bro. Like, you're in pretty good shape. I don't know if you've always been or not. I'm in better shape than I've been historically. Like it's work.
Yeah.
Like, I was in Toronto for a board meeting last night. I landed.
Man, I didn't do a test run on this. I hope this is recording properly. I'll be so upset because this has been a phenomenal recording.
Last night at midnight. I was in the gym at 6 a.m. this morning. In the gym, I landed at midnight. In the gym, not working out, having one-on-one basketball coach practice because my son's gotten so good at basketball. I think he's about to beat me one-on-one. And I'm so scared of that I literally had one-on-one basketball practice this morning. And you have to put in the work to be able to be better. And so I continue to practice candor right now, and I'm still a 5 out of 10, but that jump from 1 to 5 has closed a lot of wounds and vulnerabilities.
Who do you go to for advice?
The truth is no one, which is a great gift and a great weakness. What I do when I'm in a place of thought is go into more of a cocoon. I'm actually talking and advising and jamming. Like we hung out, if we lived with each other, and we'd have dinner, we'd have these kind of dinners. Different because we're a podcast, but it would be this.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking and philosophizing and strategizing and vulnerable and like I'm living and I'm taking it. Like it's almost like advice is happening all the time. But when it's in the moment that you're asking, where I'm like really thinking through something, I weirdly do the reverse. I think most people don't advise every day. And then when they have a problem, go for advice. I'm the reverse. I'm like constantly like advising. But then when something's really important, I go into cocoon and I'm in my own and I think it through.
How do people improve self-awareness? It seems like you were saying, the ability to be dynamic and change your opinion, change your mind, change your beliefs is one of the best ways that you can improve your overall life.
I think
self-awareness is required for that.
I think therapy is good. I think going to therapy and having another human being who's professionally trained try to throw some things at you really is good. I think what I've done is, I think there's a very big relationship between humility and self-awareness. So I have a very big thesis that humans are not trickable. And then I have another thesis that humans are the most trickable. So let me break it down. My belief is that 99% of people are uncomfortably trickable, and that's how the world works.
What do you mean?
I think most people are so insecure, so short-term, so selfish, that if you just feed them what they need, that you can basically manipulate them into anything you want to do.
Facts.
So politics.
Come on now. Encore.
Are uncomfortably trickable, And that's how the world works.
What do you mean?
I think most people are so insecure, so short-term, so selfish, that if you just feed them what they need, that you can basically manipulate them into anything you want to do.
Most people are so insecure, so short-term, so weak, so easily influenced that you can trick most people into doing anything or buying anything or doing anything that you want them to do. Are you listening? Are you listening? That is true. Our society is there. Most people are easily manipulated. Easily.
So politics does, so businesses do. It's like what life is. I hate that. What I like is trying to win with the 1% that are the reverse. And those people are completely the reverse. They're completely not trickable.
Preach it, baby.
And I think when you understand that, what I just said, or if you believe it, and whether my percentages are right, maybe it's 80-20,
Sure.
but like the concept that the masses are in this one place, and then there's a different group of people that you actually want to be friends with.
Yep.
That you actually want to know.
Yep.
That it's the actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
That if you think that, you'll constantly be in a place of humility and self, analyzation, and you're humble, you're listening. And I think there's something there in a real way to what you're asking. I think surrounding yourself with the right type of people has the potential to create a lot of self-awareness.
And what would be the main qualities of someone who is trickable versus non-trickable? Like, is it an intelligence thing?
I believe it's a security thing. I think it's confidence versus insecurity.
Yes.
I have come to, I turned 50 in November. Fun number, like, how old are you guys?
26.
I'm 35.
Yeah. Like, even at, you're a straight baby, but even at 35, right? At 35, back to like my life, you think about 10 million. Like, I think this will be very exciting for you.
Sure.
And I hope it's very exciting, more importantly, to the audience. At 34, I made $67,000 for the year.
Yeah.
That's why I believe it. That's why you hear so much Gary Vee about be patient.
What'd you make at 35?
35 was when I started doing this, and I just signed a book deal. So I got 100K for Crush It. I made like probably 240.
Do you think that you needed to have the actual accolades to play off of that confidence, or did the confidence exist from the beginning to the end?
Beginning to the end. DNA, parenting, circumstance.
You never questioned your aptitude. You never
In
questioned.
business, no. Like I said earlier, what's a child's childhood? Does the opposite sex like you? That was a third of my whole life. So I had plenty of insecurity there. Sports, right? I was good early on because I have crazy hand-eye coordination.
Mm-hmm.
I got worse as we got into middle school because speed, height, power, strength mattered.
Mm-hmm.
So that was off. School, big one, right? Kids' self-esteem in school. Right? Good grades, smart, bad grades, dumb, especially if you're almost 50. You grew up in a different world. I'm 25 years ahead of you that way, 3 years ahead of you. Like, teachers told me I was an idiot, that I was going to be a loser. Like, these are grown-ups telling you to your face you're going to be a loser. So I had plenty of things that could be insecurities. I just had the most important things right. One, I had a mother who parented me in a way that made me believe in myself. But she didn't do what modern parents are doing, which is create a delusion. She said, you're a good dude.
Beautiful.
You got strengths. But when I had shortcomings, I had ramifications, I had consequences.
How do you try to instill those same qualities in your children?
By doing that, by telling them the truth. By cheering for things that are good, like, are they nice people? Are they not entitled? But I can't do one of the most important parts, environment. I did grow up in lower middle class neighborhoods in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
They are growing up very wealthy.
How do you think that's going to change their perspective or the fear that they can't live up to what you've accomplished?
That part I feel good about because I create almost no, they may have their own version, but one of the great mistakes a parent that is successful makes is ask their child to live up to that. I do not have, the problem is there's too many people that are successful that are actually insecure. So then they ask their children to do things because they care what other people think about their children's accomplishments. On the record, on this podcast, I do not give a about what people think about what my children do for a living. So my children will have the luxury of not having a father that wants them to do what? Live up to my legacy? Me, I'm their dad.
I
just
love
want them to be
that.
happy the way I'm happy. And whether they're entrepreneurs like me and what makes them happy is to build, mazel tov. If what makes them happy is to give away all the money I made because that somehow makes them feel better for being rich kids and that's what they see the world as long as they're happy. Not that it's some sort of poisonous up thing. Like, I just am very focused on, do they enjoy their life? Are they productive? But like, environments can't be fake.
How close is happiness linked to being productive? Because we had Grant Cardone on about a year ago, and with his daughter in the room, he said he doesn't want her to be happy. He wants her to be productive. And if she's productive, by default, she's going to be happy.
Yeah. Look, I think every parent is allowed to see the world how they want. I'm also a buyer of productivity, but productive is defined by different metrics. What is productive?
Right.
Is productive making $1 million a year?
Right.
10? 100?
That's a
Is
fact.
productivity knowing that you were born into luxury and thus you give your life's work to give back to humanity? And everything in between. I don't know. But yes, I do not think waking up in the morning and having nothing to do leads to anything but bad.
Right.
But what one defines as productive, I think is different for every human.
Yeah.
For example,
yeah,
I have a lot of ways to maximize for a lot more wealth than I have. That's just not where I'm at. I feel like I'm being more productive by leaving good deposits, by spending a lot of time on Gary Vee.
Mm-hmm.
And now V-Friends, my Pokemon Sesame Street thing, feels like I'm going to be able to do both. I can be selfish and selfless. I can build one of the biggest intellectual properties of all time, which is very, very valuable. But I also can get these characters so popular that I can start getting to kids younger and instilling good virtues into them. What's more productive?
Yeah.
My income statement this year or the impact I made on alpha dudes not being complete dick faces? What's more productive? How much money I made, or the fact that I've gained muscle mass and that injury I got in my dad's liquor store with my left glute, now that I've been able to actually get my mind muscle right and I'm fixing it and I have better life quality. Who decides productivity?
Yeah.
If you make $43 million a year, but your human behaviors of alcohol and eating and gluttony and all this stuff leads to you dying 2 years later, were you productive in the 40, 30 year where you made all that money? Or because you're not productive at 45 because you're dead. So I think the definition of, but I agree with the macro thesis.
Got it.
I do believe in productivity. I think who gets to define productivity? My answer is you get to define it, and then you get to change your mind.
Yep.
If you want to go from 20 to 30 and eat Doritos all day and build an empire, good. And then 30 to 40 is pure love and enjoying those. Knock yourself out, but don't do it for someone else. And don't do it for the cheering, because if you're doing it for the cheering, when they're booing, you're dead.
Now, before we go into that, running a website sounds hosting global data centers is lawful to help 20 to get ICH to figure out everything.
It's getting started. Fun.
Or enhance or turn your starting to post on for business or for marketing or getting yourself out there. I know you mentioned
I got a ton of
TikTok Shop, live
Yeah.
I
shops.
love shop. I'm obsessed
That was a long ass commercial, wasn't it?
with live shopping. If you're listening right now, you sell stuff. You need to go to Whatnot and TikTok Shop and start selling ASAP. The QVCification of social media is here in the West. It's been going on in China for 10 years. Do it. Do it. The acceleration of organic is also on my mind. I could not speak more to my belief of non-overexposure, volume creative for relevance for different consumers. For example, you have Gary Vee on now. Your clip with me and you on your social, if the next post is you with a female entrepreneur in her 80s, that's going to hit different audiences. Different subjects we're going to talk about in this podcast. So relevance at scale across all 7 platforms. Facebook, proper. I'm obsessed. If you want to go very nerdy, are you guys posting a lot on Facebook regular?
We've done it in the past,
So
but
that
not.
was the perfect answer.
Yes.
You guys are about to be happy with Gary Vee again.
Sure.
You're going to walk the out of here, look me in the face and really understand this. This podcast will explode if you get serious about posting multiple times a day on Facebook.
Sure.
Organic. Facebook organic.
Are you
on
talking
fire.
clips, like 4 to 12 minute clips? Are you talking
Sure.
about full length podcasts?
Sure.
You're talking about shorts?
Yep.
So does
Yes.
everything.
I'll be honest with you. What
Please.
happened to our Facebook was that it got completely demonetized and it's been shut down basically for a year and a half because they deemed it as reused content, even though it was our original content and reaching anybody at
Their
Facebook.
support is abysmal.
Impossible.
Start another page.
Oh, we had 300,000 followers on it.
Who gives
so- Okay.
That would be like
Sure.
saying I had $200,000. I went to Atlantic City. I lost
So
all the money,
we-
so I'm not
we-
going to make more money.
We did
Hold
that.
on, I
We
want
did
you
this
to
on our
read-
page, but they shut that one, the new one down too, for reused content. It was something on our page. I don't want to go too much into it.
Well,
Waste our time on
yeah, we don't have to waste.
Facebook.
No,
Yeah.
this is actually going to be valuable to a lot of
Okay,
people.
cool.
Start a brand new one with a separate email, because maybe it was some technicality. If that gets shut down, then it may be something bigger. But just because you had 200,000, first of all, followers don't matter anymore. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like literally,
I think they matter a little bit,
they do. You're right.
but not as much as they did. Back in the day, it was
Oh,
the main
yeah,
thing.
true.
By the way, and it is way on its way to being to a place where it's completely not going to matter. We are fully no longer in social media. We are fully in interest media. We're fully in interest media. Social media, the word social, who you hang out with, who you follow, like we don't see that. Now, I actually think all the social networks should create 2 feeds. 100% guaranteed view rates from who you care about. Maybe limiting that. There was a great app that I was an investor in called Path years ago that was made by Dave Morin, a great entrepreneur who was an early Facebook employee. His app was called Path. He basically made he made Instagram before Instagram, where he came out at the same time, I don't recall, but you could only have 145 or 120 or 150. I don't remember. It was based on a law of like how many relationships can a human have. I don't remember the name, but you could only have 150 followers. It was awesome, right? Because you would only follow who you really want to follow. I think if Facebook implemented on Instagram and Facebook, and if TikTok implemented one feed that is 100 people max, but you see every post from them, and the other one fully interest, that's the killer app. That's what I would build right now.
Another thing that
Virtual influencers, to answer your question, I think the rise of virtual influencers is going to be one of the biggest things over the next 5 years. I think you guys should create humans that promote your shit.
Graham and I don't
Yes.
think that's possible with 2 male.
No, I understand that part. The old way. I think Graham and you should influencers, to answer your question. I think the rise of virtual influencers is going to be one of the biggest things over the next 5 years. I think you guys should create humans that promote your shit.
Graham and I don't
Yes.
think that's possible with 2 male.
No, I understand that part. The old way. I think Graham and you should hire a company and actually make your third host a female who's not a real person, who's involved in your content, promoting your show, selling your product. I think every human is going to be in the IP business. In 2006-07, I predicted that everybody would be in social media, and I got really laughed at because it was like nobody was on it, and everybody thought it was stupid. Like, who cares if you're walking the dog? Like, Twitter used to get shit on. Like, why would you tweet like you're eating pizza? Who gives a? You understand? You're young, and you were too young for this. Like, the concept of sharing your thoughts was like not acceptable. That was relegated for people on TV in certain programs. This is a new phenomenon. The fact that everybody thinks like I'm out there. I believe every person's in the intellectual property business. I believe that within a decade, many people, millions of people, will own virtual people and monetize them the way that Disney monetizes Mickey Mouse.
So I've seen some of these with like fake OnlyFans.
Correct.
Where they've just created an avatar.
That's right. And if you look at OnlyFans and, the sex industry, always porn, they're always, and obviously OnlyFans is now broadening out, but like they're always ahead.
Yes.
If you've seen that, you probably also know that a year ago, those girls predominantly looked really fake. I'm going to say something to you right now. You have consumed a piece of content on Instagram that is an AI person, and your eyes and brain do not know.
100%. Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Now, you're still consuming a lot in there that is clearly fake, a lot better than it looked a year ago. And in 3 years, not one human's going to know the difference.
I believe it. I saw on Twitter, there's a whole thread about this guy making $10,000 a month in profit from an AI character that he made that he's posting on Instagram and doing brand deals.
That's right.
With this whole character.
That's right. That's at
It's
scale
incredible.
already and hasn't even started.
On the topic of AI, what are your top 3 most insane AI predictions?
that your grandkids will marry an AI human.
What's your conviction level on that?
100%.
That they're going to marry an AI?
Your grandchild is going to marry an AI human.
So this is what we've been talking about. I think people are going to have relationships, fully AI boyfriend, girlfriends. I think it's going to be
You
indistinguishable.
mean Megan Fox, right? The thing like from that movie, you saw that?
No.
On Netflix? Like the AI
Are you
robot.
talking about she or her or
Not
whatever it is?
that one. There was a Megan Fox one that just came out. Nonetheless, they're
Yeah.
all the same. I believe a robot that is fully AI will marry a human and vice versa for real in your lifetime at scale.
And when you say an AI, does that mean like a physical body of a
Yes.
robot? So you're saying that the bodies
What?
will get so good.
I mean, I get what he's saying, man, but come on, man. There has been like reportings on like teenagers, like preteens and young teenagers have committed suicide because they've fallen in love with an AI, with a fake AI bot, and found out later on that it wasn't a real human, and they took their life, man. Like, this shit is serious as hell. And now he's going to the extreme, saying that in that dude's lifetime, he's 26. That means in my lifetime too, in your lifetime too, that our kids and grandkids could marry an AI robot. I know they're going to have like sex robots and stuff, but married? Come on, dog.
That will look like
Yes.
you and like I could.
I don't know if you know this, but people have sex with sex dolls.
Oh, Jack does. That explains what that thing is in your
Me?
closet,
What?
Jack.
No.
And obviously, like
Yeah.
that is like super taboo, and it's 2025. And I'm not educated on it, though I don't judge anyone who does. But my intuition is that in 20 years, because the AI can power the robot, and because of where we're going and what's going on, that's fully.
See, I've said the same thing because certain AIs, people are getting really attached to them, just like
Oh,
typing back and forth.
Look, here it is. People are falling. I have not seen this, guys and ladies and gentlemen, and people of all ages. I have not seen this. People are falling in love. You see this shit right here? That's what I'm talking about. People are falling in love with AI companions, and it could be dangerous. Yeah, it could be dangerous. People are taking their life.
Dating is that's the same. You know that, right?
But I'm
like,
thinking,
no.
yeah.
People fall in love on text. Like people on Tinder or Raya, after 3 hours of texting back and forth, fall in love. Then the physical part happens.
So what is this going to do to society if we're all just
The
with
same
little
thing
robots?
that society looks like right now to a caveman. If we dug up a caveman,
But do you think this is just population collapse? That just
No.
people are not going to reproduce?
maybe, but probably not fully, because everyone thinks in or. Just because I'm a robot doesn't mean I'm not willing to f a human.
So you think
Yeah,
it'll be
but if it's
non-exclusive?
but if it's
You think it'll be
indistinguishable.
non-exclusive relationships?
What?
You think it'll be non-exclusive relationships?
Actually, you know
like
what's funny? I've thought about this. I actually think AI robots may save marriages. Like I've been thinking about that a lot, which is like,
Interesting.
does a couple introduce?
Because they'll introduce that because it's not a real human being. So now they're going to experiment. And if you get tired, you're not going to cheat. And it's not going to be real cheating because you're screwing a female robot or a male robot. And it's not an actual human. So you're going to be able to get away with it with your spouse. It's not going to be actually cheating. Yeah, right. Get real, man. The women I've been with, they don't even want you to look at porn, let alone damn fucking a robot.
Just like real couples introduce swinging and another partner now, is it even better to introduce an AI robot that may help whatever sexual or emotional things are going on in that relationship to become an offsetting contributor to a marriage?
Yeah.
One could argue, this was going to be my second one, that AI will be the reason marriage increases longevity and decreases divorce.
I would almost argue that it would be the reason why people just wouldn't get married because you would just have this AI.
But it might be both. Both can exist in that scenario.
I feel like the word of the day is and not or.
Sure.
Well, I would tell you that, as people continue to dissect everybody, I have a feeling people will, I'm starting to learn, I figured out, and I'm sure people that are, for whatever weird reason, interested in dissecting me, yes, and versus or is foundationally to why I'm happy and successful. Foundational. I actually can't see the word. I can't see the world in any other way. It's always and. Everything to me is maybe. Yes and no are both vulnerabilities. You know that, right? Yes.
Right. I mean, things are going to be absolutes.
Yes and no are vulnerabilities. So if you start with something with an immediate yes or an immediate no, there's vulnerabilities. I hate no because it's defense and cynicism. I kind of weirdly love yes because it's optimism, but a lot of times it's delusional. Maybe it's a great place to start everything.
I just think this is going to lead to complete population collapse. That people are going to be more isolated than ever because they'll have an AI person that they could constantly be around that's going to be perfect for them.
What if we're the most isolated now and AI actually starts the decrease of isolation because you fully feel emotionally all the way there?
Sure. But I think in terms of population collapse, I think the government's going to have to come in and really incentivize
But you
people
say that
to.
because it's already happened.
Well, I think
You're
they have to
smart.
offer. I think they
You're
have to offer
smart.
bonuses for people that have children.
You're too
Or-
smart. You already know that's true. That's already happened. That's what Korea's
but to an
offering right now.
But to an extreme here in the United States.
What are we protected from everything else? Of course, that's what's going to happen. Governments are going to be fighting for people. Do you understand what's about to happen?
Right.
Governments are going to be paying. I'm going to get offered ungodly amounts of money to live somewhere else. You know that, right? Governments are fighting with each other for talent.
So what good will a human be though when we have AI that's better?
Well, I don't know if it'll be better. It'll be different. It's again an and state. Like I don't know if it's gonna be better, but like a human will. Oh, like our brains are pretty intense, bro. You know that, right? Like our brains are legit. Like we're gonna do other. Like when the tractor was invented, everyone's like, "What are people gonna do? We all work on farms. We figured it out."
You don't think this would be demotivating for people who could just plug into something, zone out, or be with an AI avatar or whatever, and just be perfectly content sitting in the room all day?
I think most people are doing that now in a different
But to an
form.
extreme, but even more people. Like if someone's having an average life going to a 9 to 5, but they could stay home and just be with this avatar, plug into the system that keeps them perfect.
Let's just play it out.
Way, yeah.
Why is that bad? I'm not. I haven't thought it through. I'm actually just like framing up the banter.
I would say that a large portion of society would be isolated in that regard, and you'll have a few select people who don't want to go in that direction.
Yeah, I think you're looking at it way too surface level. Okay. Let's bring it up.
Sure.
Isolated. If you're not feeling isolated, this was the argument of online dating.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically just doing a more mature argument of online dating and why online dating was creepy and weird and not going to work.
Yeah, the counter to that, though, is that you do have such a high percentage of people now under it's like 30, not leaving their parents, not meeting people, not doing anything. Sure.
Hey, what the... Bro, my argument, you're actually countering your argument. You know that, right?
How so?
AI's not here that we're talking about.
Yeah, but we're going in that direction. When it's here, now it's like even more.
No.
Sure.
I'm arguing that this might solve the problem we're in right now.
Graham, I think, is trying to say that it might exacerbate it.
He might be right.
Yeah, I don't think it's to solve a problem. I think it's just going to make it worse.
I think you're a pessimist.
Okay. and
maybe practical.
Okay,
and maybe cautious.
Maybe.
And maybe not delusional. Let me say this, though.
Yeah.
Humans are the most underestimated, underrated brand and entity in the world. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say this interesting conversation was in 1950, and we were talking about the atomic bomb. Just invented, just dropped, and now we know Russia has one too. I have a funny feeling if I sat here and said, it will not be used for the next 70 years, that you would have taken the counter. Humans are underestimated, bro. That's what everyone who's listening, I'm telling you right now, humans are underestimated. This AI is big. These last 10 minutes was super fun and like fun banter. We're all trying to think it through. I would say underestimating the human is a mistake. And I would say that for all the people like, what are you talking about, Gary Vee? It's now. I would say that you don't understand history. It is not now. You believe it's now because all of you have gotten sucked into listening to dumb.
What do you think are the main things that are holding people back right now? And if they could make these adaptations, they'd be able to unlock their full potential. You seem like a very...
I have a very good thought on this.
Sure.
Number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is the utter lack of accountability. What's going on right now, brother, has nothing to do with anything other than we've been over-coddled for 30 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can do anything once you decide it's your fault. If you think it's your mommy and daddy's fault, that's what takes up the oxygen.
Yeah.
You just spend all your time telling everybody about
That's
your
good.
mommy and daddy. If
That's
you think
good.
it's Trump or Biden or Putin or
Yeah.
China, that's what you spend your time talking about.
Yep.
Everybody has become remarkable at pointing fingers. It has become a global pandemic.
Why is
Yeah.
that?
Over-coddling. Lack of accountability.
Where do you think that started?
Yeah.
Overcorrection to a lot of parents that got underloved and overcorrected too far and we lost our way.
That's a
So you think the
fact.
pendulum is swinging back to accountability?
That's a fact.
No, that is my
Jack.
great hope.
Okay.
I do not feel like we're there right now, unfortunately. I feel like we're still in the very heavy midst of, we find so many things to blame on. Do you know that I didn't even know I was in Gen X my whole life? We didn't talk about generations. Like, do you know how many hours Gen Z talks about boomers?
It's become a meme now, though.
We're just so...
Is that creating just cages for ourselves?
Yes.
Thinking that we have to subscribe to a certain thing?
Of course. But most of all, the ultimate cage is when you think somebody else is in control of your life, you're dead.
But you know what? But people get rewarded for that online. And I feel like that's a slippery slope because when people post about themselves being a victim, they get so much support and so much sympathy online. It feels
Yeah,
good
they do,
to post
man.
something.
Yes-ish. You've lived through these last 3 years. The pendulum's swinging. They also get a ton of hate.
I feel like it's not balanced, though, in terms of the hate to love.
I feel like it's getting balanced. I feel like you're right 3-4 years ago, but I think it's changing.
I think it depends on the person and their audience.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like mostly. Like if you have like a girl that's crying like on a camera and her audience is like 95% women, like all of the comments.
Yeah,
but if it's a
she's-
guy that's like
by the
opening
way,
up about something.
I get it, but let's talk about this. That goes back to the point of how we got here. That girl didn't wake up at 23 looking for unlimited sympathy. She's yearning for how she was parented. She wants to be coddled. That guy wants to be coddled. We want to blame
Right.
his fault, your fault, that fault, this fault,
Cuckold.
that generation's fault, that politician's fault, that governor's
Cuckold.
fault. Fuck California, New York,
Cuckold.
Trump, Biden, Florida, Texas, her. Like everybody, like, where's this? Real quick, where's this? When someone's
Yeah.
upset today, where is I suck? And that's not the same as I suck, let's go into depression. I'm talking
Right.
about I'm accountable and capable. I don't like America, I can move to Costa Rica.
can't-
I don't like my boss, I can quit. Oh,
Or,
Gary, I have a mortgage.
or to the extreme of, I can dig myself out of the hole. I can do better. I can save a down payment. I can get my finances in order. I can get promoted at work. I can get a nicer car. I can get a better house. I can be a better father. I can. Where's the accountability? Not you did this to me, which is why I have a shitty life, versus I can make my life better. Come on, man.
Get out of it.
Yeah.
Like you can do, you know that, right?
But that's also purposely and consciously subscribing to mild delusion, because there are certain things that
Stop it,
happen to certain
Cameron.
people
No,
that is not their fault. So is it important?
By the way, somebody just died of a stroke. It's not his fault. No.
So it's important to delineate what I'm trying to get at between fault and responsibility.
No. I don't care about the semantics. To your point, fair. But let's go to where I'm trying to go, which is, okay, something happened to you. You don't have a lot of money saved up. A rock bounced on the highway and smattered your windshield, and now you have to fix it. I guess you could say I should have left my house earlier or later and the rock wouldn't be there. It's that's not the ridiculousness I'm looking forward to. I'm asking, like, what do you do about it now? Like, everything is about what you do about it. Could that person go on Craigslist and pick up on the free listings and sell it at the flea market this Saturday and make $320? They could. They could. They don't have to. Could that person ring the doorbell of his neighbor and say, hey, you've always talked about my garden being awesome. Your garden, I'd like to do your garden for the next 4 months, but I want $300 for it because my windshield just broke. Would you like to do that? They could. Like happens all the time.
That's
how you react to all that life is happening all the time. There is nothing else. The only thing that happens in life is happening all the time. What I'm interested in is, what do you do about it? Is your life perfect?
I think I have a pretty good life.
Guess what? Bad news, something's going to happen. That's life. You're not going to be the one that goes through life without pain or struggle or micro issues. When you answer like that, here's where I go. That's awesome. That made my heart smile. Now what I want to say to you, if you were my younger brother, is, bro, do not complain one day if that's your truth. Not one complaint out of your mouth. Because in the macro, it's so good. You're one of the few people on earth that gets to say that. 2, be mentally prepared, and let's start thinking about that for when it doesn't. Because a lot of people that are only accustomed to it being good or get addicted to it being good, when they get caught with bad, don't have the backbone to take the punch in the face. And that's when it starts to get bad, right? Those are things I like to start thinking about.
So if you could say one thing that would make the biggest splash to the people listening right now that think that they don't have control over their own life, or that they have found themselves disagreeing, or subconsciously they're disagreeing, they just don't consciously know it, what could you say to make the biggest splash, the biggest impact, to wake them up?
There's so many different places I go. One, a part of me goes into a really deep, tough love place of like, cool, I don't give a shit. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm desperately trying to tell you, in life, you find what you're looking for. And if you're looking for good, it's good. And if you're looking for bad, it's bad. And what do you want from me? Human sitting over here, like, I don't need to convince you. You want to have a life, you have a life. There's that part. Then there's the compassionate part, which is like, bro, please. Like, you have one life. The math around having a life is 400 trillion to 1. You won already. You actually won. No matter how alcoholic, abusive father, sexual abuse, like where do you want to go? Third world country. Like, where do you want to go? You still can actually, like, you still have a shot. You could have not been born. Like, you have a shot. Like, you have a shot.
Yeah.
You're a sports fan. How many times do you want to watch a game? Look what the Pacers did to the Bucks the other. The game was over, but it wasn't. Like, you could suck in life. You could be 53 right now and be a loser and dominate from 60 to 80. Enjoy it. You could. Like, it's never over.
That's
like,
good.
I don't know a lot of versions to your question.
Whoa,
I don't know which one's going to work.
I want
to
hear that again.
That's why I use them all. I've got nothing.
See, because sometimes I feel like I'm late to the game, right? Even at 39. I'm going to be 39 next month, right?
Loser and
But he said you can even start from 60 to 80 and still dominate, right?
Look what the Pacers did to the Bucks the other. The game was over, but it wasn't. Like, you could suck in life. You could be 53 right now and be a loser and dominate from 60 to 80. Enjoy it. You could. Like, it's never over.
Oh,
like,
I love that. It's never over.
I don't know
you can
which
still
one's gonna
do
work
it.
for
You
someone.
can still dominate right
That's why I
now.
use them all. I've got nothing but compassion to hard. Like, I'm throwing out. Why do you think I make so much content? I'm desperate out here to make everybody understand. Please, for the love of God, because deep down, what do you want from all of us? I don't judge you, but I can't change you either. Yeah, that felt good. I've never said that. That's me. I don't judge you. I really don't, because I know people have different circumstances, luck of the draw, all that stuff. But I can't change you. You have to change you.
You're way more impressive than and I'm not just saying that to, like, I'm not just saying that, and I don't say that usually, like, almost ever on the podcast, but I had high expectations. And first of all, this entire unit, whatever you call this floor is incredible.
Oh my God.
But also, you're way, like, sharper and just, maybe it's because you took that break, but I don't know.
I don't think so. I think we talk about this a lot. Like, I sandbag it a little bit publicly in hindsight. Like, what am I going to say? I'm smart. I'm sharp. Like, I'm obsessed with value for the audience. But to your point, like, this is nothing. You should, like, you live here for a month, you're like, holy, like, don't forget, I did it and then talked about it and continue to do it. So thank you for that. That means a lot to me. And again, the reason I like dealing with my compliments is, again, my mom's 70th birthday is this weekend. Like, I can't wait to tell her what you just said, because it's going to make her happy, because I'm her product.
Shout out Gary's mom.
Yeah, to Marvy.
Okay,
Right.
so we got some rapid fire questions. What's something you hate that everyone else seems to love? This could be anything.
Complaining.
Okay, that's a
good answer.
dialed answer. Right. If you could have a 30-minute conversation with any entrepreneur from history, who would you pick?
That's a great question. Who would I pick? I would pick Walt Disney.
Would you pick?
That's a great question.
Okay,
that's a
good answer.
dialed answer. Right. If you could have a 30-minute conversation with any entrepreneur from history, who would you pick?
That's a great question.
Walt Disney.
Who would I pick? I would pick Walt Disney.
You get $10 million tax-free today, but you can't invest it or use it for business. You just have to spend it on fun. What do you buy?
No, it's cool. I love that question. 10 million for fun or do. I would probably courtside NBA, like real like sports is going to be way up there. I do like restaurants, so I'd probably like and wine, so I'd probably go super hardcore on. It's less about going to like travel. It'd be travel for purpose around food. So it's a very ridiculous meals, fun. I mean, I would love the feeling of giving away loads of cash at scale in like fun environments, not like the stuff we see like the influencers do. More like I would go to like Peru and give somebody really like $30,000 where that's like 4 trillion. So some of that stuff would be really enjoyable.
Yeah, man, that'd be cool.
What's one guilty pleasure you have that would surprise people?
That would surprise most of my silly stuff I've shared a lot. Guilty pleasure that's sometimes people surprise. I'm not a very big guilty pleasure person. Like I have an incredible. Like it's funny. My fiance Mona is such a clean eater, but I think people know that I'm like willing to like eat 13 Snickers bars if I have
Snickers
to.
are great though.
Whatchamacallits, I'm obsessed with one. I got one, but it's not a surprise, which is why I'm probably. I'm obsessed with cereal. But weird ones, like I'm huge on Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch is the best.
Mr. Beast should have a cereal.
Captain Crunch is the
But
best
the other favorite cereal I have is Grape Nuts, which is completely
Never
different.
heard of that.
Yeah, look
I'll
at
check it
that.
out. Would you rather own the New York Jets but never see them win a Super Bowl, or see them win
Number
a Super
two.
Bowl but never
Number
get to
two,
own them?
and not even close, by the way.
Yeah.
Chasing the Jets is my great love. Actually owning them, I'm neutral about. Winning a Super Bowl is everything to me. Winning and not owning.
Why do you do this?
Because my mom knitted me a jersey, a Jets jersey, when we were really poor, with the number 5 on it. When all my friends in the neighborhood had a jersey, and I asked for one, but we couldn't buy one because we didn't have that kind of money. $25 on a jersey was not in the cards. So at night while we were sleeping, my mom knitted me a jersey. It's the pinned Instagram that I have. That if you go to my Instagram, it's pinned to the top. Why I want to actually buy the Jets. It has a lot to do with why I want to buy them. And every time I take a photo, I just want to pay an homage to my mom.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was incredible. Thank you to everyone who spent your time listening. Hopefully this makes a change. And if you don't need it, congratulations.
We all need it, me included.
Well, there you have it. Hey, that was a lot better than I thought it was. Jack hit the nail on the head with that one. That was incredible. That was phenomenal. That was inspirational. That was motivational. That was top-notch fucking content right there. Bam. Hey, you know what time it is. KP out. Thanks for watching, everybody.